This was the sex-hammering dream a brother allegedly had for the entire world when he wanted Kellogg's on every dining table in America. Kellogg's, the anti-sex war. Two brothers, Will and John Kellogg, were obsessed with one thing: the perfect diet. John Harvey was the star, a world-famous doctor who believed that bland food was the only way to keep human impulses under control. While Will Kellogg was a 40-year-old man working under his brother at his hospital on a low-income salary but high ambitions, he too shared the passion of the perfect diet theory. Will was reportedly a bookkeeper and a clerk for the hospital. John and Will lived in a place called the Battle Creek Sanitarium, which wasn't just a hospital, it was also a high-speed laboratory for biologic living. They lived there because John wanted to oversee every single detail of his patients' lives, especially their diets. See, Dr. John was allegedly obsessed with replacing the heavy, greasy American breakfast with something purer. So when that one night came along, according to most records, a simple oversight changed everything. A pot of boiled wheat was left out. It sat there for hours, getting hard and dry. Instead of throwing it away, the brothers decided to roll it through one of the machines in the hospital. The machine was a pair of massive, smooth metal industrial rollers, the kind normally used to crush grain into fine flour. But the brothers weren't looking for powder. They were trying to force that boiled wheat dough through the metallic gap to create long, thin sheets of bread substitute. All this over a hunch of just maybe inventing something that would change the world forever. Every night before this was a failure. The dough would stick. It would gum up the gears, and Will would reportedly have to spend hours scraping the metallic rollers clean with a knife. But one night, something was different. The wheat wasn't doughy, it was brittle. As the gears groaned and the rollers turned, they weren't expecting a miracle. They were probably just trying to save a few cents by not wasting the batch. But what came out the other side weren't sheets of bread. They were thin, golden, crispy flakes. It was $1 billion accident, but it was about to spark a war that no amount of hospital therapy could fix. John the doctor saw these flakes as a medicine, a bland, tasteless cure for a sinful society. But Will saw a gold mine. He realized that if they wanted the world to eat this, it couldn't just be healthy, it had to be delicious. And in 1906, Will proposed the one thing that would drive a permanent wedge between the brothers: sugar. To John, adding sugar was allegedly like adding poison to a prescription. He was deeply committed to his beliefs, reportedly seeing it as a moral failure to make food taste good. But Will had finally snapped. He was tired of being the ghost brother, tired of the low salary, and tired of his brother's ego. In my opinion, Will realized that to build an empire, he had to kill the doctor's vision. Will left the sanitarium and started his own company using the flaked cereal process. But there was one final insult that would lead to a decade-long legal bloodbath. Will didn't just start a company. He put the name Kellogg in bold, sweeping letters on every single box. He was claiming the family legacy for himself, and John was about to sue his own flesh and blood to take it back. While John Harvey was busy performing surgeries and basking in the spotlight, Will was out in the trenches. He didn't just walk out of the sanitarium, he walked into a war zone. At 46 years old, an age when most men in 1906 were slowing down, Will was reportedly working 16-hour days in a cramped, dusty factory. He was the CEO, the salesman, and the delivery driver all at once. He had no safety net, no doctor's salary, and a determination that kept him working 16-hour days. Just when John thought the name Kellogg belonged to his medical purity, and Will wouldn't be able to overshadow it, he underestimated the power of a man who has been ignored for decades. Will poured every cent he had into a massive, bold campaign. The wink was brought to life, an expensive and risky move that could drown Will in expenses, giving away free boxes. But he launched a campaign that was as brilliant as it was bizarre. Wink at your grocer on Wednesdays, and get a free box of Kellogg's Cornflakes. He hoped the one box he gave away would sell hundreds for the rest of the week. He didn't sell hundreds. He sold thousands. It was a viral sensation before the internet existed. Suddenly, the ghost brother wasn't just surviving, he was winning. He was becoming the cereal king, and he was doing it with a name his brother never thought would get bigger than what he had made it, ever. But success has a price. For John Harvey, watching his bookkeeper brother's face on every billboard in America was a humiliation he couldn't ignore. He didn't just want a piece of the pie. Allegedly, he wanted to erase Will's version of history. John sued his own brother, starting a legal bloodbath that would drag through the courts for 10 years. The argument was simple but brutal. John argued that Will had commercialized what he believed was his original medical development. For a decade, the two brothers lived in the same city, but only spoke through their lawyers. In my opinion, it wasn't even about the money anymore. It was about who owned the legacy. John reportedly used every connection he had to stop the Kellogg Toasted Cornflake Company from using the family name. But he was fighting a losing battle against a man who had already won the hearts of millions of Americans. Will had turned a hospital experiment into a household staple, and the courts finally realized it. The verdict was a knockout blow. The court ruled that the name Kellogg, the bold, sweeping signature we still see on boxes today, belonged to Will. He hadn't just used the name, he had built it through the sweat of that 16-hour-day factory. But while Will won the legal war, he probably lost the only thing that actually mattered. The brothers died years apart, still bitter, still silent. Two men who changed the world, but couldn't even share a bowl of cereal at the same table. Today, Kellogg's products are sold in countries across the world, with products in almost every country on Earth. We see that signature on our tables every morning, but few of us see the ghosts behind it. Well, Kellogg got everything he ever wanted. He got the fame, the fortune, and the title of cereal king. But in my opinion, he lived the rest of his life with a silence that no amount of money could fill. John Harvey Kellogg died in 1943. Will lived another 8 years, becoming one of the wealthiest food industrialists in America. Two brothers who started in a hospital basement with a rolling pin and a batch of stale wheat ended up changing the way the entire world eats. But they did it at the cost of the one thing they couldn't engineer, their own family. So, the next time you pour a bowl of cornflakes, look at that signature on the box. It's not just a brand, it's a trophy from a war between two brothers. A war that started with a mistake, lived on a week, and ended in an empire worth billions of dollars.